Hi booktube, Aaron here, hope you're doing okay. Today I'm going to be doing the Holmes is where the heart is tag. This is a tag created by Mark from Book Time with Elvis to go with an event that he's hosting in February called Holmes is where the heart is, which is um, basically just celebrating Sherlock Holmes fiction. And loads of people have been doing it, and I think it's been circulating under the name the Sherlock Holmes tag as well. But I was tagged to do this by Will Chambers, so thank you for tagging me, Will. And I'll have the original video and Will's video down below. There are 10 prompts, so I'll try to be as quick as I can. The first prompt is Elementary, my dear Watson. Share a classic mystery novel that you consider a must-read. And this is one where, as I was thinking whether or not I should include it, I was trying to work out whether it is a mystery novel or not. But I think certainly by the time you get to the end, you can see there's certainly a very strong mystery element to it. And that's The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I do bring this book up from time to time because it is one of my favourite books. And I think the great thing about this is that it's not a whodunit. Really, you kind of know who the bad guys are from relatively early on. But it's a what have they done, and have they really done what you think they've done, kind of mystery, and it's trying to prove something that the main characters very much feel to be true, and Wilkie Collins is kind of tricking you when you're not sure whether the main characters are right or not. And so by the time you get to the end, you can see that there's definitely a mystery element to it. I suppose if you're splitting hairs, it's really a sensation novel rather than a mystery novel. But I really, really love it. Just a great, just kind of over the top plot that, yeah, just kind of keeps you guessing. And I think there'll be a couple more books like that here, but certainly a must read for me. Number two is the Baker Street Irregulars. Recommend a book that has a band of unlikely heroes, or maybe has a diverse ensemble of cast, or yeah. um, and for this one, I'm going with Bordolino. Maybe not a recommendation for everyone. This is by Umberto Eco, and it's a really weird book um, about the Middle Ages, about medieval Italy, and about relics, and about pilgrimages and crusades, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's particularly focused around um, stories of the realm of Prester John, which was a kind of fantastical kind of Eden somewhere where um, it's out in the east where almost no men have ever been before, and of course it's Christian and everyone there is perfect, and so eventually the characters find themselves there, but it's being attacked by the Mongols, and so they have to assemble um, an army consisting of people with their faces on their chest, and people with one leg, and people with ears so big they can fly, and all kinds of fantastical people who live in this sort of faraway country. And so that's I suppose quite a diverse ensemble there. Number three is The Game is Afoot. Name a book that had a plot twist or a revelation that completely surprised you. I think with this, I'm going to go with The Talented Mr. Ripley. When Aaron from Aaron Read a Book did this, he used this book for another one of the prompts. But for me, if I'm remembering it correctly, it was one of those books that it just felt like constantly um, something that I could never have expected happens, and it just keeps on going like that. I don't have a copy to show you, but yeah, that's a really, really good book. Number four is 221B Baker Street. Talk about a time you visited somewhere of literary significance. I have been to 221B Baker Street. There's a Sherlock Holmes museum there with some some like wax dummies of sort of characters and things like that in it. It is really surreal going there because the tour guides there are, are talking as if Sherlock Holmes was a real, a real historical person. So it is a bit of an odd experience, but it's pretty fun. And really, whenever I'm on holiday and out and about, I do try to track down some places of literary significance. So a while ago, I was on holiday in Haworth, so that's got a strong connection to the Brontes. But also nearby is Hebden Bridge, and just outside of Hebden Bridge is the graveyard where Sylvia Plath is buried. And so that wasn't far at all from Haworth, so I went over there to see Sylvia Plath's grave. And also nearby to there is also the house where Ted Hughes grew up as well. So went and found that house. But yeah, there are sort of tons that I've been to. I've been to Victor Hugo's house on Guernsey, which is probably one of my favourites that I've been to. That was really really cool. Been to Tintern Abbey and to Dove Cottage, where Wordsworth used to live, and yeah, so there are tons of places I go to, and I normally try to find at least one whenever we're on holiday. Number five is Moriarty's Master Plan. Discuss a book where the antagonist was exceptionally cunning and memorable. And with this one, I can't even remember the name of the antagonist, and I'm not even sure if we're actually told the name of the antagonist. But it would be I suppose, the main character in A Kiss Before Dying by Ira Levin. And essentially, when the book starts, this main character, he's essentially knocked up his girlfriend, who it seems like he's only with so he can kind of weed his way into her family and get sort of get loads of money. But he finds out that she's pregnant, and she won't get an abortion. And so then, since he can't get rid of the baby, he's going to get rid of her, and it gets. I think it gets even more twisted because she has two sisters, and he's a really yucky, manipulative character. But the way this book is written, you're just kind of obsessed, I suppose, and you do end up really, really hating him, I think, and you want to see the right thing happen. So yeah, it's a really, really good book, but really quite uncomfortable. Um, Number six is The Art of Deduction. Name a book that either kept you guessing to the end or where you guess the outcome earlier on. I think this is definitely the first part of that. It kind of kept me guessing. And this is the second Umberto Eco. This is The Name of the Rose. And essentially, this book is like 600 pages of red herrings. But it's not really about the red herrings, or you kind of there's so much more sort of going on than just that. But certainly the mystery element and the main plot of it. Um, yeah, I when I first started it, I had no idea just where it was going to go, and it certainly did keep me guessing. There are all these murders in a monastery, and that there are all kinds of possibilities as to who's doing it and why. Some people think that they're being killed, um, as essentially signs from the Book of Revelation that the end times are at hand. But there are all kinds of sort of dirty secrets of things going on in the monastery that come out as a result of this. So it's a really odd, sort of messed up story, but an amazing world, and the amount of detail that Echo goes into to sort of making you feel as if you're in this monastery. And also, this has a very strong Sherlock Holmes connection. We've got Brother William of Baskerville, He's the monk who's our detective, and essentially Sherlock Holmes, and he's got a novice with him who's essentially our Watson. So that's certainly one that kept me guessing, and it feels appropriate to include it. Number 7, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Talk about a book with a strong atmospheric setting, or a book where the setting plays a significant role. And this is another book that I think this is quite similar to The Woman in White. In a way, it's certainly got that sort of mystery, sensation fiction feel to it. And it's the Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. And this is set on, I think it's the western coast of the South Island of New Zealand. And it's blustery and grey and muddy, and it's always raining and cloudy and windy and horrible. And the sea is just crazy and precarious, and there are shipwrecks, and yeah, just that sort of drizzly feeling um, just sort of penetrates the whole story of the book, and it's really vividly portrayed. So, and also just the landscape, you can tell that. I think is it the Arahora Valley? Is that where it's set? Let's see if we can find out. It doesn't say on the back. Or it's sort of, yeah, the Arahura it's by the Arahura River, and so but yeah, it's, you can tell that the Eleanor Catton knows this kind of landscape, and yeah, it sort of really pays off. And part of the fun of the book for me, I mean, it's a great plot. The characters are really interesting, but certainly the way she portrays the landscape is really part of the story, and what I love about the story. Number 8 is The Reichenbach Falls. Talk about a series that you thought had ended, but then made a surprise comeback. And I was struggling with this one, but then I remembered that some new Smiley novels are going to be written, and I started reading a couple of Smiley novels last year. So I read Call for the Dead, the first Smiley novel, and also the Spy Who Came In From the Cold, which sort of briefly includes Smiley. And as I was reading them, I heard the news that John le Carré's publisher have authorised le Carré's son, I think he goes by, is it Nick Carraway, something like that, to write some new Smiley novels. So they're still forthcoming, they haven't happened yet. But yeah, that's the only one I can think of. Then number 9 is Sherlockian adaptations. Name your favourite book to screen adaptations, or of a classic work. And I think for me, if I'm being completely honest, it has to be The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Just for the way it's filmed and the feeling of it. And also you can really tell how much how much Peter Jackson and the crew and almost everyone just involved really loves these books, and they're doing their best to portray them faithfully. Not exactly what's in the book, but to sort of translate it to the screen as powerfully as possible. So I think that's probably one of the best, one of the most successful book to screen adaptations. I also like Nosferatu, which I think is the creepiest Dracula adaptation. But it also includes, or it sort of adds loads of the weird things from Dracula that aren't in the book, and particularly the idea of him not being able to go out in sunlight and him sort of turning to dust if he's caught in sunlight. And so yeah, so I suppose it gets some points deducted for that, because I do find that a little irritating, but it is, yeah, it's still great for what it is. And then number 10 is The Great Detective. Recommend a book with a brilliant and memorable protagonist. And this was another one, I think particularly with the protagonist and antagonist, it took me a while to think of a book. I think because I'm not terribly character driven, or I'm quite happy for characters to be average, or for me to have mixed feelings about. Um, but yeah, I eventually settled on Jude Fawley from the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. And he's just such a he is kind of a lovely person. He can be a bit snobbish, he can be a bit stupid sometimes, um, but you do just really feel like, um, you as a reader, you just want the best for him, and that's not how life goes. So I think just because of how badly things go for him, you just feel that more, that more for him, really. So yeah, I'd say he is a brilliant protagonist. He's got a great mind that isn't really given a chance to be used, and he's certainly memorable as well. So that'll be that, and that's my last that's the last prompt. Before I go, I'll tag a handful of people, and I'm hoping that none of these people have been tagged yet. If you have, you're not obliged to do this tag twice. So I'll tag Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading. I'll tag James from Quaint and Curious Volumes, and Jason from the Channel of a Disappointed Man. And as ever, if you want to do this and you haven't been tagged yet, then yeah, consider yourself tagged and give it a go. But there we go. I will leave it there. I hope that was okay and at least a bit interesting. Let me know if you thought any of my picks were outrageous and didn't fit the the prompts at all. And let me know if there are any books that you'd fit to any of these prompts. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.